Hey, we are now on the lunch break of day two of Tranche 3 Phase 1 of the Undercover Policing Inquiry. We've just heard the opening statements from Charlotte Kilroy KC representing the Category H core participants. Those are the women who were deceived into sexual relationships and others who were deceived into long-term friendships by undercover officers. And then Angus anyway, KC representing S, who is the ex-wife of Mark Jenner. So Charlotte Kilroy's submissions were, it's the most harrowing stuff. She talked to them a huge amount of power. I thought about the devastating effects of the sexual abuse that these undercover officers have perpetuated against women. I really like, but she really drew that distinction between, a lying man who a woman might meet at a bar or something, who pretends to be rich or different intentions to what he's actually after in order to like convince a woman to go to bed. Something which women are taught from an early age about. Something they have to be on guard against, about kind of that sort of thing. And what the spy cops did, where basically as agents of the state, they used their power and position in order to violate these women, that it was the state itself as a violator. She did this very articulately, and I'm afraid at breakneck speed. So I'm afraid my tweets didn't really, I don't feel really kind of got across how forcefully she explained and articulately she explained that. Also, when I'm doing like my live reporting, it's one thing kind of covering people speaking live when they're being questioned, and it's another when they're reading from a script. Obviously, the opening statements are all scripted. In some cases, the written statements that we're given are the same, which means that I can like cross-reference between the two as we go along, and things that I missed, I can get what I'm saying right. Charlotte Kilroy, like all the best lawyers, I mean, no offense to any of the others, they deliver a written statement, opening statement, and then they deliver quite a different oral opening statement that kind of just, it's not the same thing. It's not that you can follow along in any way. So I apologise for my coverage of her opening statements, which I profoundly impactful, I felt. She introduced the stories of Alison, of Ellie, of Sara, and of Wendy, and the ways in which they were deceived by Mark Jenner and James Thompson, respectively. Just incredibly powerful, and just incredibly disturbing. The deception of Ellie and Wendy went on for 21 years, from 1997 and Wendy from 97, but up until 2018. Deeply disturbing and profound and awful. I mean, they're all so many of the stories are awful, and I don't want to get into sort of hierarchy of which was the most disturbing. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are very familiar with Alison's story. Her story was one of the main ones that was covered by the ITV documentary Undercover Love and Lives Exposed. She because of her job, she had a home camera, so made a lot of home movies of him, which means that, I think it really been brought to life what it was like living with Mark Jenner for over 4 years. Then we heard the opening statements on behalf of S, who was Mark Jenner's wife at the time and had children with him. Really, I mean, like, one thing which really kind of came home was her like kind of puncturing this lie that so many of the undercover officers make about, oh, they were just like lost in this world. She says that he was home from like 5 or 6 in the morning until 5 or 6 at night. He would get in very early and be there all day, would look after the children, was very present. He was away at the evenings and weekends because of his undercover deployment. But that he was actually a pretty present father figure for the kids and husband to her. This really kind of like kind of really dispels this myth that the undercover officers had, that they were like right in, they were just in their identity all the time. They were living like it. He was living a double life. It was double. He was still, a present member of the family. It was quite telling that he was being given when he was going away on holiday with Alison. He was using his own time off from work to do this, using his own money to go on these trips with her. yeah, to the detriment of his real family at home. There was, I mean, she pointed out how Bob Lambert, who was, you know, the undercover officer we heard from during Tranche 2, who was his manager by that point, was signing off him going to meetings on behalf of the Colin Roach Centre, which is a Hackney-based social centre, outside of London, supposedly in Northampton and Bristol, over like Christmas and Valentine's Day. You know, clearly it was obvious that the managers knew what he was getting up to. The fact that he was engaging in sexual relationships with his targets, or asexual relationships with one of his targets, Alison. Yeah, it was really, yeah, I mean, really insightful. S pointed out she's the only member of Category M still engaging with the inquiry. Category M was the wives of the former undercover officers. So she has a unique perspective on proceedings. She talked about how, you know, how the managers let her down, how Bob Lambert lied to her about what the role would be like. You know, claiming that, you know, the utmost concern was the priority of the spouses and the family life. Obviously, we know what Bob Lambert had done while he was deployed undercover, so it's no surprise that he was not, you know, not looking out for the best interests of the wives and children. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like, I guess it was more of the same. And one of the things that Charlotte Kilroy said with her submissions was that it was just more of the same. That we heard so much abuses, woman after woman coming to the stand, giving evidence about the havoc that these undercover officers had caused their lives, and there's just so much more to come. That we're going to just hear more and more of that over the rest of Tranche 3. Yeah, that's it for this morning. This afternoon, we'll be back with Leslie Thomas KC, who's representing Bernard Redwick, Dr. Graham Smith, Lee Lawrence, Mark Metcalf, Myron Simpson, Stafford Scott, and Wilson Silcott. And then Rajiv Menon KC representing Dwayne Brooks. There'll be a break before we have more opening statements after that. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. If anybody's got any questions or wants me to explain anything particularly that was said during the opening statements they've heard today or anything else, just get in touch, comment on any of these videos or just on my social media. I'm for those who don't realise who are watching this on TikTok or Facebook, I am live tweeting what is being said as it happens on Twitter. It's still the social media platform where I've got the most of an audience. I'm happy to use whatever social media platform gets this out there the best. I'm new to using TikTok, so if there's a way I should behave on here that should be different, then please let me know. All right, thanks for joining. I will see you at the first break this afternoon. Cheers.